Welcome, reanimated fans, to this week's podcast. I'm H.A. Conrad, coming to you from Brooklyn, joined here. Well, I'm out of it. I need more coffee. Joining me here is my intrepid co-host, Stuart Tiffin. Hello, Stuart.
Hello, H.A. Conrad. How are you today?
I'm living the dream.
Are you living the dream?
Yeah.
Have you done it? You did it?
I'm living whatever kind of weird, terrifying
Oh,
that we're living in right now.
okay. I was hoping for a moment that you'd transcended.
No, no.
I don't think you'd show up for the podcast if you had, though.
If
So
I had, you would, yeah, that probably.
I'd have a vision. You'd appear to me in a vision, be like,
I would.
"So, podcast is over. Sorry, I've transcended. I'm living the dream now."
Well,
I would understand.
if I did that, I would show up to you as like a zombie to do that, right?
Oh,
Because
yeah. That would
that,
be you'd basic. That would just be
that would
the
be on
tipping point.
brand. That would be on brand for us.
And then I'd be like, well, if I can't talk about zombie movies all the time, I'm doomed to have zombie dreams all the time. So here we go. It's my new reality.
We have some interesting things to talk about today before we get into our review of Daryl and Carol, as I like to call it, episode 2, season 3, and two, right?
Yeah,
4?
that's right. You said it in an order that I wasn't expecting. I was like, no, oh no, that was correct.
Yeah, yeah. Um, But but yeah, actually quite a few little news tidbits here. So Guts and Glory, which is a whole like little horror series on Shudder, that is premiering in October. And so that is looking exciting.
So specifically, this is a Greg Nicotero
Yep.
experiment. It's gonna feature a lot of his special effects. It's a reality TV show. Apparently, this is the kind of content that he likes to watch when he comes home from work. Which is, shooting horror content all day. He's like, I don't want to watch like Housewives of whatever, or I don't know, like he likes reality television.
Yeah.
Or at least that's part of his like decompression routine is to just watch that kind of stuff. So he was like, maybe he was also influenced by the Zombieverse show from Korea, but this will be a reality show where contestants I think are getting scared and doing challenges. And I was watching an interview he was doing at Comic-Con, and he was like, "And we're just gonna kill off a contestant in front of all of their their co-stars, and they're not gonna know it's coming." I was like, "Wait, phrasing, first of all, Greg Nicotero, I don't feel like you should say we're gonna kill the contestants." But then he was like, "Yeah, so it was really hard for us to maintain that suspension of disbelief on set when we were doing these." On like in the moment deaths of contestants. So I guess even the contestants get to be subjected to his wizardry.
Well, I'm excited to see this. It looks fun. And I just like how prolific he is just in all the stuff that he does. He does not slow down. So this seems like a really like fun little project to me.
For real. Yeah, like between Dead City and this, he must be and Daryl Dixon, he must be working constantly
Yeah.
on this stuff. Anyway,
Um, and speaking of Dead City, it is going to be filming in Worcester, Massachusetts, starting next week, actually. And basically, it's very funny because there's like a public service announcement just about all the street closures, and they kind of give like a warning that it's going to be transformed to look like downtown Manhattan with like subway stations and things like that. They do like a little visual that's on like Mass Live, and then the article we found also has like a paywall because I guess you have to be a subscriber to the Worcester Telegram. But that seems kind of cool and fun. And look, like I guess we do have to review this at some point, but
season two we still have to watch. Yeah,
I know.
and
So
it feels a little bit like chiding that season three is starting to get produced now. I mean, they must have written all the scripts must be in order. They're shooting season three next week, and we haven't even touched season two.
yeah,
Well, we'll get to it. I mean, I feel like after October, we're probably going to be back in those slow days.
yeah.
2025 was pretty good to us with content. We had tons, so I don't know if it'll be the same situation
I
coming
think
up.
we have a lot of content coming. So
Yeah.
so
Uh,
see.
so there's been another trailer No, it wasn't. It was more reactions to the trailer, maybe just more news dropping about Marvel Zombies ahead of its release, which is in about a week.
Yeah.
Um, Apparently, one of the stories which I find quite interesting was that they did not think that Marvel Zombies would be the first time the character of Blade was revealed to a Marvel MCU audience. So I think that has something to do with why this show has been delayed too. The Blade movie with Mahershala Ali hasn't materialized. I don't know if it ever will at this point. I don't know what the news is on that. But so they did not go with that version of Blade. Apparently, this Blade for this show is more related to Moon Knight. It's a Fists of Khonshu
Hmm.
Blade. I don't know. I don't know nothing about Marvel, so I don't know what that really means. But I don't know if that means he's not a Daywalker or what the like what that changes about the mythology. But I thought that was kind of interesting. They've completely changed their approach based on the fact that there is no Blade movie yet.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you sometimes have to do go with that.
Yeah, with a beast as large as this MCU, yeah, I'm sure it's complicated and there's a lot of moving parts.
Yep. Um,
But
and then you
Blade
wanted,
totally stole that trailer, so it looks
yeah.
like they've kind of nailed it so far.
And then you wanted to talk about some dying light stuff. And there's been actually a few little articles about this.
Yeah, I think it's had a pretty good reception so far. This is the third. Well, it's technically not its own game. They're not calling it Dying Light 3, but it might as well be. It's Dying Light the Beast. I've talked about Dying Light on this show before. It's one of these games where you're fighting zombies, usually in some like Central European type city or Turkish city, and it has this dynamic day and night cycle. During the day, there's zombies everywhere. They're terrifying. You've got like bladed weapons, and you're parkouring over city rooftops and fighting zombies and accomplishing, doing missions. And then the sun goes down, and everything gets so much worse. Like the zombies are much faster and more powerful, and they can jump across buildings like you can. They're better at parkour than you, and basically you need to just run and hide. And so I've been doing that a lot, running and hiding.
Have you figured out, you know, a little bit of um, is there like tricks and things like that, or are you slowly making your way through? Like, or are you getting like killed off immediately and it's just like incremental progress?
Oh, I've definitely died a whole bunch of times. It's incremental, but I am getting better also. So, it kind of goes both ways.
I have to ask, like, have you been playing Chronos?
I did see an article about Kronos having zombies. No, I haven't played it. I've seen it, but then I've seen the game in game stores, but then I've never realized that it was a zombie game.
So there's somebody that did a review,
The New York Times I saw, yeah.
yeah, and basically says it's borrowing from like Resident Evil and Dead Space. Is voicing some frustration, but since I'm never going to do this, I just always like to hear if you are. So,
All right, well, we can pull from the deep coffers of Reanimated Podcast and maybe I can pick up a copy.
all right. Uh, all right. And then lastly, but excitingly, the trailer for The Queens of the Dead is out and it's going to be released October 24th. I will say the trailer was a lot of fun. Um, I do worry they're showing a little bit too much, but it very much has like a Romero vibe for like the campiness and silliness that we would often see more Dawn of the Dead, I guess, than in the original. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on it? It seemed like a lot of fun, and it looks really fun, and some of the effects look on point. But definitely, it's that more campy horror than anything, from what I can tell.
Yeah, you feel the camp is very real. There's a lot of jokes and a lot of levity in the trailer. I'm not sure that I would necessarily attribute that to Romero. Felt like he took himself very seriously most of the time.
I mean, Dawn
I
of the
mean,
Dead has a lot of like, I would say it's a subversive sense of humor, maybe not as in your face. but
Yeah.
it's still a camp level. This is camp on another level. This is maybe more Evil Dead camp.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I shouldn't just say Romero because this is also Romero. This is just Tina. Am I excited to see it? Yeah, I don't think that this is necessarily going to be the kind of zombie movie that I get giddy about, but I think it'll be entertaining and fun. I like Katie O'Brien a lot.
Yeah, me too. So it'll be, well, let's see how it goes, but I'm excited to see it, and I think this will be on our list of things that we're gonna talk about.
Most definitely. And Alien Earth will just wait until you've watched it.
Okay, I will try to watch some of it this week. Are there a certain number of episodes where it gets like really good or?
The finale is on Tuesday, so then it'll be the whole
Ooh,
thing will
okay.
be available to binge.
How many episodes are in the season?
Not many, seven, six?
Oh, that's easy. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Each one's though like an hour. I find them great to work out to. If you have that ability to watch and work out, but
Do.
because also when you're working out, it's harder to jump scare.
I will admit to you though, like sometimes I have to pick. So I've been rewatching Buffy on the Rowing Machine, but yeah, sometimes I have a harder time focusing on newer content when I'm working out. So like serials or something like I will tell you, some of Buffy has definitely. I mean, I have not watched it, I think, in years and like decades now, and
Yeah,
it is some of it has not aged well at all,
right.
and
Like, don't you get some of that Joss Whedon ick or no?
yeah, definitely. Like, in fact, it's like some of the writing and some of the treatment of women on the show, like, and it, like this, honestly, it shows us, to me, it shows us how far we've actually come to some extent, just like the awareness. But it is pretty, like, wow, it's a little shocking, some of the things that are, some of the treatment. And what's weird to me is like, when you watch it, and maybe it's just because people hadn't rewatched some of the show, um, there is an undertone of misogyny that is really hard to ignore. So that's pretty rough. I really like, but there's a Buffy reboot. Did you hear about this?
No, no.
Yeah, Sarah Michelle Gellar's in it. He has
What?
nothing to do with it.
Okay, but she's not going to be Buffy though. I assume they'll find a new
No, she will be Buffy, but I think there's a new.
handing the torch to a next
Yeah, yeah,
Slayer. Yeah.
I think there's a new Slayer or something. Maybe she's like I don't know. I don't know who else is in it, but it's interesting to me that they were able to reboot it without his involvement. So, anyway, that'll be something coming. Anyway, I digress. But I will watch Alien Earth, Rower or No, come hell or high water, and then we can talk about it next time.
Okay.
All right. Next on the list of things we're going to talk about immediately, Daryl Dixon, season 3, the whatever book of Carol. This is episode 2. And the title is La Ofrenda, offering, the offering. And um, I've got a lot of feelings about this episode.
A lot of feelings.
Eh, some feelings, for
Got
sure.
some feelings. Yeah, this is also the same director as the first episode, Daniel Percival, and two writers on this one. I forget if it's the same two. Yeah, Jason Richmond and David Zabel, same writers as the pilot for the season. Yep. So I mean, we were all like, I don't know, the show kind of wanted us to be concerned that Carol, with her head wound, had wandered off into the wilderness at the end of the first episode, with Daryl like yelling for her. But really, very quickly, he finds her and she is fine. And she's just enraptured watching these two young lovers with terrible judgment getting into a river and fully clothed and leaving all of their equipment at the top of this cliff.
Yeah. Hmm.
She's like, aren't they perfect? I mean, she's still a little bit wacky. She, I guess, is running a fever.
So, yeah, and I kind of assume that, but there's also, I don't know. I think even he is acknowledged, he's like, what is up with you? Like, she's definitely not being her normal self in
No,
this.
this is not normal Carol. Like she's not one given to looking at people and thinking and saying out loud like, "Oh, they're amazing. I love them." But she does, and I guess that kind of endears the audience to them too.
Yeah. But I will also say again, this is my little nit about some of the things and even what they did with Julian in the last episode. Like you're talking about people that have survived this long and they clearly are outfitted and while they aren't like fully exposed, they are like kind of just I mean, I guess they're young lovers and maybe they're just really excited to be away, but it's clear that they understand the dangers that are out there in this world, not just from, as we find out later, not just from like external people, but from their own people. And so it feels a little odd that they're just hanging out at this waterfall thing, and not being stealthy. That they wouldn't, that they feel exposed to me here, and maybe I'm just misinterpreting where exactly they are. But it just feels like kind of an unforced error, and this is the type of thing that I get the most annoyed at in this particular like franchise. That you
I'll tell
treat
you what, I wish they were a little more exposed because, and I don't mean sexually, I just mean swimming in your clothes is such a dumb thing to do in survival. Like, unless
Oh,
it's
that
absolutely
too.
necessary, like
That too.
take off your clothes, guys. Like, unless you want to get hypothermia or just chafe for the rest of your hike to wherever the hell
Oh,
you are off to.
agree totally on that point. And I mean, we talked about that. Like Daryl just goes full on into the ocean. So not only is he like totally sodden in his like pants and everything like that, but like the salt and the sand and everything like that, that is gonna feel
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah. Because that
Being
was just yesterday. Can you imagine how he's feeling right now? And
yeah, that is a kind of exfoliation you don't want. And
his his
not
inner thighs are just screaming.
right. And not to mention like, everything. All your most sensitive areas are probably not feeling so exciting right
Yeah,
now.
and who knows what his underwear situation is like
Yeah.
15 years into the apocalypse. It's probably not amazing. It's like a diaper or something made of sackcloth. However, uh, so this couple, like they're clearly going through things. I think we can tell even before we get to talk to them that we're going to get to know them better because they're like arguing, and then they're smooching, and then they hear this truck coming. It's one of these rare instances in Daryl Dixon, the show, where you everybody can hear the truck coming before the truck arrives. Remember in season one of Daryl Dixon, that was often not
Yep.
the case. Like the truck would arrive, and then people would be like, "Oh my gosh, there,
Yes.
there's a truck here." This one, we hear the truck over the sound of a waterfall, so it's very audible. Out come three, they call them bandoleros. They're the guys that Daryl saw in the pilot, who
Yep.
I thought seemed just like cheerful, affable Spaniards, but it turns out no, they're bandits of some kind.
Yep. They're bandits and you know, just kind of posturing and asking questions and there's a lot of like, no, don't or don't like I mean, you do immediately sense that the woman is potentially in danger and they are outnumbered. The couple is outnumbered. And I mean, there's an interesting exchange with Carol and Daryl where he's just like, I'm not going to take everything. I just going to take a little bit or whatever. And she's like, oh, don't like hurt them. And, she's a little out of her mind. And it's also weird because I don't think Daryl does generally like take things from people like that haven't necessarily done him wrong. Like, can you recall a time when he was like just kind of like taking stuff from people without any kind of recourse? This
No,
seems a little bit weird to me that he's like immediately jumping into this. Usually they try to trade or negotiate or ask for help. Like, I don't know that and then maybe I'm misremembering, but I don't know that we've ever seen Daryl do something that's just like that sort of like essentially just sort of like that, more like a
this is like a Merle thing.
yeah, like more, that's exactly it. More moral,
And this is one of those, this is a line that usually delineated between Daryl and Merle,
right?
was that Merle would do this and kind of be happy about it. Daryl doesn't at least seem to like, he's not enjoying himself. He's just like, look, my friend's gonna die. We need to get to your village. We need your healer. And
Yeah, but
you're gonna
there's
have
a
to take
difference,
us there.
but there's a difference between doing that and what they were talking about before, which was he was like, I won't take all of their supplies. Like even taking the supplies, that's not something I feel like we've really seen him do.
That's true. But I think yeah, I think you can rationalize it by saying he's convinced that if they
Carol,
don't get supplies, Carol's done for. I don't know why he would feel that way. I don't think they've done a great job of with makeup on Carol. I feel like they could have made her look more haggard or more out to lunch,
I mean,
which
I think they are making her seem like they're doing that kind of like hunch thing. She does thing. She seems a little weaker, and she does seem a little bit like she does seem a little out of it. So, and these are not, and you don't normally see Carol looking this vulnerable unless she's acting, and so
that's true.
it's
That is
like.
that's a really good point. Like Carol has never seemed weaker than when she's actually just pretending to be weak.
And maybe that's the point is that Daryl's freaked out by that. So I guess that makes kind of sense. But it did strike me as like, oh, this is kind of an odd direction for them to take with him based on everything we know about him. So I guess I could explain that with his like how upset he probably is at her actually being that vulnerable.
But
So
yeah, after saving the two lovers' lives from these bandits, one of them gets away. And sorry, I kind of jumped ahead to where he continues this line. Carol walks up and the girl, what's her name? Justina, is
yep,
immediately like trying to take care of Carol, and Carol's like, "Oh, maybe if you could just give us some food and medicine." And Daryl is the one who's being like, "And take us to your healer."
yep.
And they're like, "Oh, we don't want to do that. That'll be really bad." But Daryl pulls a gun on him and like force marches them.
Okay. So let's stop here and totally I'm about to spoil everything in this episode, so
Cool.
get ready. If you haven't seen it yet, just,
You
wait.
should not be listening to us talk
You'll
about
be listening to
episodes.
this anyway. But so this in retrospect, and it also felt it was like just tell them why you don't want to go back to the village and why you're running away. Like they don't, and it's sort of weird that they don't. And
Well, then you could rationalize this by two Americans walk up to us to two Spaniards who are enjoying a fully clothed bathing session and then get robbed by bandits, and then start speaking to them in English because that's what this show is about. Like, and they wouldn't, for the love of God, stay in England where people speak their language. They had to go to another country where nobody, like, in theory, in Solaz del Mar, in like in kind of the middle of nowhere there's everybody, or at least a lot of people, are speaking English to them. And it takes a second or two for the two lovers, is it Roberto
Mhm.
and Justina, to switch to English. And but they do, and suddenly, like it's pretty damn flawless English conversation. But they might not be giving all of the exposition because they're having to do it in a foreign language.
Maybe, but you could still explain why you really don't want to go back. I mean, they say a couple of times like it took us so long to go and
Yeah,
whatever.
like if we go back, it'll be bad for us. It's a bad place. If we
Right.
go
If
back,
you
they'll
don't.
kill me and they'll take you or something like that.
Right. And, the whole thing is that, Justina specifically is in danger because of this lottery thing they've got going on. And, I do think that that is something that Carol and Daryl might be like open to hearing about because if they're willing to do something like that, and also the fact that outsiders are in danger going to this place, which they definitely are. And so like, I think giving them a little bit more information probably would have been helpful, especially given how dangerous it is for them to actually go back. So I would have expected Roberto and Justina to be a little bit more focused on getting the heck out because they know what this means for her. This isn't just sort of like, oh, people are really strict there or whatever. There's a potential that she gets disappeared. And so that was a point that I was like, I think they could have made Daryl and Carol their allies early versus what happened. But anyway, that's not what the direction that they chose to go in. So
Yeah.
uh, instead, we get them, kind of going back to this town. I did like how very clear it was that the town had figured out a way to survive and their own method of survival. It's interesting, and I think there's obviously parallels to the Commonwealth, right? Just in how things are handled here. And to me, those things cannot escape Daryl and Carol.
What do you think is their way of survival in Solaz del Mar?
I mean, they basically, everybody has jobs. They have some kind of route where they can bring goods and things in, which I guess is the point of the whole lottery, is that they're getting either protection or goods from this outside organization. Maybe it's a little bit more like Hilltop. or
Because
what
it's
you
that's
want to
the
eat.
thing is the Ofrenda's once a year. They're not
Right.
getting a year's worth of supplies, I assume. Maybe
I
they
don't think
are.
it's a year's worth then. I think it seems maybe we'll find out more, but it
Yeah.
feels like it's a continued agreement either for protection, maybe like mafia style.
I would
Um,
just, as always, really like more insight into how these communities have things
People
like
there.
suckling pigs, crops. Like, where are their crops? What are they eating? Are the crops inside the walls? Like, granted, they have a great hillside town. It's beautiful too. My gosh, when they're walking up to it. But they have a walled city. They've got a huge, great big metal door. Awesome. But where is their food and water coming from? And I just wish they would spend more time just showing us that in background shots or wherever.
Right. And maybe that's it, is that they're getting some of these things
Maybe.
from outside and from this deal that they have with the Alcazar.
It
Um,
feels like this town is about 100 people or less.
yep.
Not a huge community. And that also kind of raises the question of sustainability for this
Yep.
whole deal that they have going on with Alcazar.
Right. Um, so in any case, they're very, closed down, but Antonio, who's Roberto's father, steps in and basically says, like, I'll let them stay with me while you treat Carol, and they get like a 2-day thing.
Yeah,
But
Antonio seems like an interesting character. I don't know what his job is, like handyman. He plugs in light bulbs
yeah.
and he cooks. He's just yeah, he seems to be a worker. There's another character is Fede or Federico, who is the town's aristocrat.
Hmm.
Fede de Rivera, I think is his name, and he is Justina's uncle.
Hmm.
We've also got her abuela, who's the healer lady, who doesn't speak English. I'm grateful for that, and she also gives Carol a tongue lashing later in the episode, which I kind of enjoyed also.
Yeah.
And then other characters, we meet Paz, who is this what they call the Gitan cowgirl, which is basically like northern Spain's Romany people. I did not know that that was what that was, and I thought that was I went down a bit of a Wikipedia rabbit hole, and that was pretty cool to read about.
Cool.
And then there was another guy, Gustavo, big guy on the door. He'll die in some kind of horrific way later this season,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I'm sure.
But there's a nice collection of characters that we meet, and there's others too, like Alba and her mom, and so we kind of get a vibe that Fede is not psyched about strangers. They are met with guns, but they are welcomed in by Paz and other people. Yeah, like it's kind of interesting their approach. I think there's still a lot we need to learn about why they have this feeling about strangers.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that there are these horn helmet skull mask people out there, and I'm sure that
Well,
that's gonna
they
play.
probably know that too, and I guess like it probably is similar to what we've seen in the United States, is that they've learned to be pretty wary, and
Yeah.
that's they're just protective of their own. And the dark things that are happening. There's also like other like weird things. Like they keep saying that they're like a pot of people, and we see this later with like the weird festival thing that they have with the Ofrenda. There's just like a lot of different cultures kind of thrown in there. So um, that's it, but they figured out a way, I guess, to survive. And
It's
so,
yeah, it's just not explained as well as I'd like it to be.
oh,
What
agree. And I
one
would,
of
one of the things I would love is just like you and I like the boring little details. Like,
yeah,
and I don't know that they would need to do all that much to show some of those things. And so this is something that it's a little nit, but I will say the set is beautiful. This town is beautiful. I just want to know a little bit more about it.
yeah. There was a street sign as they were walking into town that said Segovia on it. I don't. Segovia is an old city, but it's I don't know. I don't know if this is shot in Segovia or not. Would be kind of interesting.
Hmm.
Uh, Probably shot in a lot of different locations, honestly. One of the details that we didn't mention last time on the pilot episode were these nets of zombies up in the forest. That was one of the things that Daryl and Carol saw, and they were like, "Oh, I hate it here." And we saw another one of those after they rescued Justina and Roberto, or yeah, Roberto. And then we see some of these villagers sewing or making one of these nets, so we can assume that they are the net people. uh, based on that little detail of like there were three people working on a net as they come into town. We quickly also now learn that Justina and Roberto are in trouble because they snuck away in the middle of the night, and the ofrenda is happening very soon. They don't know exactly when. They basically get one night's sleep. Carol passes out, wakes up feeling much better. And here Antonio is cooking like beef. He's got steaks, he's got sausage, he's got barnacles and lamprey eel. I want to say no vegetables, no
Nope.
nary a vegetable to be seen, which actually mirrors my experience around Segovia too. It was like vegetables or French fries if you're lucky.
Oh, I can confirm this was filmed in Segovia.
Ha!
Yep.
I mean,
Uh,
it's an ancient city. They've got this really cool aqueduct,
yeah,
but
apparently a lot of the locals were serving as extras.
no,
So,
that's cool. That's cool.
Sepulveda, Segovia. Yep.
Neat. Oh, where was I? Oh yeah, Antonio's cooking just a lot of meats and without a lot of explanation of where it all comes from because um you're not seeing like herds of cattle or you do see some pigs later on in this episode. So now they've arrived. Also, Paz comes and announces to everybody that the Ofrenda is here, essentially, and this is a convoy of people, like people in a really old car, a bunch of people on horseback, and very loaded trucks, and they all roll into town and with a lot of cheers and applause. And this is part of the episode that I don't really understand is why would anybody be excited about this? Is it this one feast and this I guess these supplies that they're delivering outweigh any of the other stuff that is going on here? Because I feel like it wouldn't.
Mm,
I feel like Carmen's reaction is the only honest one.
right. Agree.
So that's, I mean, also there's that Jaime guy who gets tortured to death later in the episode, who, like the king of Spain or whatever this guy's name is like, hey, I'm here. This is going to be a great ofrenda this year. And everybody's like, hooray! And Jaime's like, where's my daughter? It's
Yep.
been 5 years. I love her so much. And then that I think he gets killed for that. Like
He gets tortured for sure.
tortured for sure, and not unapologetic in his torture. But we don't see what happens to him, so maybe he's fine.
Well, I do think it's a good, I mean, he is so overwhelmed by grief and out of his mind with grief, but you get the sense that there's a huge amount of fear in the community that they're not allowed to show what they're really feeling.
I mean,
And
I don't get that sense though, because it's really just those two people, Carmen
there's a
and
lot of eye acting. There's a lot of
okay,
face. So I
yeah.
do think that there's this undertone, and I think you can assume that they're aware that this is possible because it's not, I doubt this is the first time it's happened. I don't think that this is a group of people that's letting their kids get taken
And it's just
without,
daughters. So I guess like someone like Antonio, you can tell that he's not happy about it, but he has a son. So in a way, he's like, you know,
right?
I guess this is just what we have to do. But then, Jaime, Carmen have daughters, and so they are
Right.
bereft.
Well, and there's another interesting thing that I was thinking about because it seems like Justina's father, I don't want to say that he's like he does not seem
Who is
all
Justina's father? I
not
don't.
is that the main
Fede is apparently her uncle.
uncle, sorry, her
I don't.
uncle.
I don't know who her father
Sorry, I
is.
guess he's her uncle, but he does not seem concerned at all about this, and it makes me wonder if the fix is in and that there's a reason why she's been so lucky all these years because he's
Yeah. Oh, there's definitely a fix because there was that whole scene with the guy who collects the unselected collars
right.
that have the names written on them. He walks past Daryl and I mean, that guy's just he was holding a gun on them earlier, so he's also gonna die in a bad way later on this season. But there's just something going on there
Yeah,
where
and there clearly is, but she doesn't know that, maybe.
no, no,
Um,
but it feels pretty clear that and Fede is an interesting character too, but because he is like he's tough but fair. He knows how to cozy up to Alcazar, get what his community needs, and then the speech though that he gives to Carol at the end of the episode, I thought was very interesting. especially in the context of everything she had been saying at the dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know I'm jumping right way to the end, but I thought just
Right.
but by the dialogue that they give this character, I thought that that made him quite an interesting fellow.
Yeah, and I think there's lots of interesting things going on. I think that Justina's grandmother, just even in how she's reacting to Carol, is like, there's a lot of like, hey, you have no idea what you're talking about or walking into, and you don't understand what we've been doing to survive. Like, kind of like, don't stick your nose in, essentially. And she's saying this despite the fact that she knows that her own granddaughter is at risk. Um,
Or is she?
or
Maybe
is
she's not concerned about her
maybe
granddaughter.
not concerned about it. But it's just like it's interesting, and it's again maybe Carol's a little out of her head, but she usually is a little less. She's a little more subtle than this.
Yeah,
And
her filter is completely missing at this dinner party.
yeah,
Yeah. And but then again, like Abuela's counter argument is, well, look at you. You're lost, you're far from home, and you're not well. So, shut up.
yeah,
And I'm like, that actually isn't a great counter argument to we shouldn't be giving our daughters away and not knowing their fate. Like that is not actually a good counter argument, but it's really just you're a guest here, so shut the fuck up.
yeah,
It's one of those. Yeah, I don't know. Like, so honestly, that's a pretty fair argument just in and of itself, but the scales are not even by any means. And well, yeah, it's just interesting that mostly it's interesting that Carol's filter is just completely absent.
yep,
And Daryl's trying to shut her up. I love that part where he's like, "Hey, do you want some more puerco?"
yep.
And then he just excuses himself. And Carol doesn't know why he does that either, which I thought like there's some funny interactions going on during this dinner scene, which is
Yeah,
quite interesting.
actually, Daryl's sort of reactions to Carol are the funniest things ever. And him trying to kind of manage it is funny. And then later, just sort of the things that happen in his normal Daryl ways. It's like, oh, just throwing some of these Alcazar dudes into the zombie pit. It's like, okay.
Yeah, so the revelation here is that the driver from the bandits' truck earlier is actually a soldier for the Alcazar people, and they very overtly get up and chase Daryl out of the dinner, but nobody reacts to this at all. Daryl is free to just wander through these narrow streets, finds the storehouse of weaponry, luckily that has no door, and then finds like a huge unfolding sword thing, which might be his new signature weapon for this season. We'll find out. I don't know.
Yeah,
It was pretty cool. It was like a giant switchblade. And but handily kills these three guys because he's Daryl freaking Dixon. I saw one article that was like, Manuel, the driver of the bandits truck, might have been a big bad. I'm like, are you kidding me? We never even knew his name. Like he was just he was a red shirt easily. I thought it was an article about like how they were killing off a lot of cast members. I'm like,
yeah.
no, I don't know that he really counts.
I don't know. Yeah, kind of agree.
He was he had very few lines. I think all he said was "vamos" or something at the waterfall.
Yep, that's it.
And then yeah, then next thing you know, he's getting his fingers cut off by Daryl.
Yep.
So we will have to see what the ramifications of Daryl's murder spree in the streets will be. He just killed three guys who are honored guests of the town. Their presence will likely be missed. If it's not, then that is highly suspect.
Yep, agree.
Yeah, Alba was the one picked by the pig race. I'm not sure so Justina is trying to like console Alba earlier and is like, "Oh, don't worry, your name is really short, therefore you have luck in the ofrenda." And I'm like, "Really, it's about whose pig is slowest is the one who has luck." So they should all be trying to like injure these pigs before the race, I feel like.
Something.
Something. She's like, "Oops, stepped on the pig. Oh dear, was that the one with oh, that's a shame."
Hmm.
But yeah, well, Alba's pig wins, so she is offered up. Carmen is very upset. There's this other person who has arrived with the prince named Elena. I think her name is Elena. Yes. And she is married to Guillermo the prince. And she was also an Ofrenda person, but from Barcelona. And she has a secret tryst with Paz, the cowboy girl. And so I don't know what's going to happen with that. They'll probably both die. I mean, it's
Problem.
Daryl and Carol. Daryl and Carol have rolled into this town. Everybody gonna die.
Yeah, you kind of have to. They don't know that yet, but this is sort of you know, this is going to mark the end of days of this community as Daryl and Carol do.
Yep.
So,
They had a good thing going,
yep.
and
Yep.
then Daryl and Carol arrived.
I mean, if you think about it, I guess they're right to be so suspicious. Maybe they should have kept them out. Um,
But it's not for the usual reasons that communities collapse. It's because they are a catalyst for fomenting rebellion
they
or
are.
something.
So, okay, but I am interested to see what happens in the next episode. So I'm looking forward to chatting about that with you next time.
Who is the next character who we've met today who is going to be off the board? AJ Conrad. Predictions?
Oof. I want to say it's mm,
Gustavo, the door guy?
it might be Gustavo. Maybe I feel like Grandma is going to something's going to happen to her, or something's going to happen to her that will change her mind, where she stops becoming so like she starts siding with them, maybe. But I feel like Gustavo might be a good bet.
Gustavo's an easy bet because he is the lowest ranking red shirt on the cast at the moment. Um, Certainly we'll see probably more of a fracas between the Alcazar people and the Solaz people because of the killing of these soldiers. Maybe Gustavo is a casualty in that. Maybe it's Roberto.
Hmm.
Because I feel like they'll keep Justina around longer.
They're definitely going to keep her around, and I think they got to keep around a couple of these other people that they've just introduced us to.
I mean, like Julian.
Yeah, well, true, but he was like kind of a big name. Um, and Antonio's actually kind of, I don't know, I think he was in The Devil's Backbone, I think. Did you ever see that? The Guillermo del Toro movie?
No.
I think that's the only thing I've seen him in, but he has that face, so maybe it's him. So we'll see. In any case, let us see if we're right about Gustavo. I think all bets are on Gustavo for next time.
All right, Gustavo, you heard it here, folks.
And if we win, I don't know what we win. Bragging rights.
Pork sandwich.
I would love to hear what everybody else thinks about these first two episodes. Drop us a line, reanimatedpodcast@gmail.com. And, until next time, bye bye.
Toodaloo.